Hello everyone, hope you're well. Today we will be talking about something that I have come to realise from my 7 long years of watching indie animation.
Where do the years go?
This observation is that, as a general rule, showrunners only seem to succeed with their indie shows when they are partnered with Glitch Productions. There is a drastic increase in showrunners who are primarily aiming to partner with Glitch Productions. Obviously there are quite a few that did it without the help of Glitch. For example, the Helluverse, as they are kind of the pioneers of stable indie animation shows on YouTube. Well, Helluva more than Has-Been, because is Has-Been actually an indie series if it's a top Amazon Prime show? Money. Anyways, even though it seems that indie show pilots and proof of concepts are being made left, right and center, they are all either not succeeding as much as they hoped, or are being made with the plan down the line that they will be picked up by Glitch Productions. While Glitch Productions is a spectacular channel that has aided the animation industry greatly, showrunners shouldn't have to depend on them to succeed. Before we go into the specifics to back up this theory, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free and it helps me out a lot. And also I'll know if you don't. Glitch Productions, an Australian animation company founded by two brothers, Luke and Kevin Ludvichigal. Guarantee I've butchered the fuck out of that. It was founded all the way back in 2017, making next year its 10-year anniversary. They showcase on their website all of the cool things they have had the pleasure of doing, like the Digital Circus comic, the Digital Circus Hot Topic collaboration, the Digital Circus Cafe. Okay, yeah, that seems to be a reoccurring theme here. Getting back on topic, the channel started off with their own shows, like Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise. And before the old heads start angrily typing in the comments, I know that Meta Runner originally started on their other channel, SMG4, where they released the pilot Wrong Warp on the 25th of July 2019, which, to put in perspective, is older than the Has-Been Hotel pilot by 3 whole months. Which means that Glitch are even more OG than the Helluverse. They would implement Meta Runner into Glitch, and 2 years later, release the pilot of their next show, Sunset Paradise. Sunset Paradise wouldn't do too bad, getting over 5 million views on its pilot alone. They would continue to produce Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise until... oh no. Hi there! Murder drones hit Glitch like a .50 caliber to the face. Gaining over 88 million views to this day, which was Glitch's chance to put their foot on the gas, putting their all into this high potential series in the hopes of becoming a further celebrated name in the animation community. They would make a couple of episodes and produce the finales for both Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise, putting all of their focus on Murder Drones. And after the back-to-back episodes of Murder Drones, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's this really small and niche show called the Amazing Digital Circus. Yeah, you kinda have to be niche to know what it is. That show would go on to be their magnum opus until 2026. The entire series would garner 178.5 million views across all episodes, not including cinema viewings as of writing the script. This would cement Glitch as the company to go to if you wanted your show to reach as many people as possible. This was made evident when we got the pilot for the Gaslight District by Part-Time Seagull, the pilot for the Knights of Guinevere by Dana Terrace, who also created the Disney show The Owl House, and finally the pilot for Gameoverse, which was created by Rubber Ross. The first two at the moment seem to be the neglected children of the channel, but more on that later. In the current day, Glitch stands as the ideal gateway for aspiring showrunners. However, while this is a positive thing for the industry, it does come with some concerns. Before I go on to voice my concerns, it's important to point out that Glitch is a necessary and crucial company for the indie animation space on YouTube. They now focus primarily on giving others a platform to make their own shows and make a name for themselves. Rubber Ross was drawing the protagonist for Gameoverse Kit since early on in 2015, back around when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was the hottest thing on the block. And the idea for the show itself dates back to 2009, which I bet is older than some of the people watching this video. Ross apparently said that the project was rejected by all major studios for a decade. According to Ross, Glitch didn't even need to see a pitch for them to offer their help. They had seen the original proof of concept and decided to create a pilot with Ross. Now that the Digital Circus is over, Glitch kind of needed this pilot to succeed, and thankfully it did extremely well, breaking some records for the channel. However, I would say a large portion of its success goes to a, specific part of the show.
There's so much
Kit Gameoverse. However, it was undeniable that it had good writing, animation, and storytelling, and a lot of that credit goes to Glitch for supplying the funds and people to make this happen. Going back to Dana Terrace, she was sick and tired of working for Disney when The Owl House was in its 3rd and final season. The season was only given 3 episodes.
Where is it? Where's the rest?
But Disney accidentally released an episode early on iTunes before it aired on Disney+. And Dana was obviously mad about it. On top of the fact that she saw Disney admit that they were considering the implementation of generative AI, she fully decided to flip off Disney and tell everyone to unsubscribe from the streaming platform and pirate the Owl House, to prevent Disney from getting any more money. After this, she wanted to create a new show with a company that does everything differently. Glitch was that company. According to an article by the Cartoon Brew, the Knights of Guinevere pilot proved that independent 2D animation can achieve visual parity with major studio output and draw tens of millions of views, even without Hollywood marketing budgets and PR teams. Glitch is possibly the only possible alternative that Dana could have gone with without sacrificing any of her values. Yet another reason they are so important to have in the industry. Finally, there is the Gaslight District, a perfect example of someone who is extremely talented, however didn't get as much recognition as they deserve. Part-Time Seagull pitched the show to Glitch after they saw a teaser for the show and approached him about a potential partnership. The pilot is stunning, with a cast of characters so detailed that any of them could be a protagonist. I also love that Mel's full name is Melancholy Hill. You know, like the Gorillaz song.
Melt it, spice, melt it, spice.
The pilot got a lot of support from Glitch fans. However, it still stands as the show that has waited the longest for a second episode. Either way, when the next episodes do release, it's guaranteed to do well to an extent, just because it's hosted on the Glitch channel. The main concern I'm trying to convey in this video is that showrunners will have their idea that they've worked on for years and start executing their plan with the sole goal in mind that they'll get picked up by Glitch. While it is a nice thing to work towards, and I think showrunners should go ahead with this in mind, it's crucial that no matter how good your show is, you must be able to do it on your own. Now, I'm not saying that this is what the animator Zurl did. However, I would like to talk about his show Monkey Wrench. It's a visually pleasing indie show with good episode plots and funny jokes, having a lot of cameos from other creators in their episodes like Gooseworks, the showrunner of the Digital Circus.
That was always a bit racist. Always said the N-word. It's kind of problematic if you think about it.
Zach Hadel, a showrunner of Smiling Friends. And Vaj Skeletor Joel, among others.
Your boy's bringing home some fat stacks tonight!
The show even did decently well, garnering almost 6 million views across all 5 of his episodes. To anyone who does any other types of content on the platform, these are great numbers. However, when you're a showrunner for an indie series that either you or your viewers are funding, or maybe in this case even both, it can be discouraging that the numbers aren't a little higher. The year is 2025, and Zurl definitely felt this when he created these posts on Blue Sky. He says, "Boy, folks weren't kidding about how bad YouTube has gotten. 4 days out and we're barely above 200k views. After all that effort and careful crafting, it feels super underwhelming." He goes on to say that episodes 3 and 4 outperformed 5 in terms of views over time. However, this isn't something that just happens with Zurl's show. Most indie shows will have views slowly start to go down over time with each new release, as if you don't reinvent the wheel with your own show, you likely won't get too many people joining in season 3 episode 4 for example. Zurl even said that he wishes that there was a competitor for YouTube, but I think he is insinuating that he wishes for a platform that rewarded high effort more than what we have now. Zurl wanted some help with production. Thankfully, he would get this help literally as I'm writing this video. But we must tell the rest of the tale before getting to that. Apparently he approached Glitch Productions about getting his show greenlit for the channel. However, he was denied. 4 times. Of course, Glitch has no responsibility to say yes to all pitches they get, but that just reinforces the point of being sure that you can stand on your own 2 feet without their support. Even 2 weeks ago, the Monkey Wrench channel replied to this comment asking when the next episode is coming out, saying that they will come out when they can afford it. Speaking of, Monkey Wrench's Patreon is currently making £6,987 Great British pounds a month. On top of a roughly estimated £4,500 a month monetization, means that they're making, and again this is a really rough estimate, £11,500 or $15,500 a month. This sounds like a lot, and it is, but you have to take into account taxes, paying the animators, the voice actors, a thumbnail artist, the music producer, and more. After all of that, you still might have to wait multiple months just to pay the people working on the show to still cut even. Zurl didn't go into this project depending on the chance of getting greenlit by Glitch, but those 4 rejections have made it clear that he keeps trying to obtain some help with the show, as the viewer support isn't enough to sustain the show on its own. And I'm not saying all this to rip into the show or to rip into Zurl. I love his animations, and I think Monkey Wrench is a great indie series. It's just the best example to prove my point. Closing this point off, thankfully Zurl, as of last week, has partnered with Netflix to help the rate of production for the show, as well as funding. He gets to upload episodes 1 through 5 as a batch onto the platform, and Netflix gets to help with the 6th, and possibly more. I'm glad that even though it wasn't Glitch, he still got the support he needed to keep the show running. I'm not going to sit here and give a lecture about being a showrunner.
Why you boring me? I'm right!
However, I have seen a lot of people online, whether they have a following or not, create an idea for a show and then immediately try and find a way to pitch to Glitch Productions. Which, like, Who's gonna tell him? If someone who has made animations with millions of views and who has connections with people like Gooseworks, the creator of Glitch's biggest show ever, and they still can't get their show greenlit after 4 fucking tries, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get Glitch to greenlight a show that doesn't have a pilot or proof of concept. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for an underdog story. But to a certain point, you just have to think about things from a practical and well-reasoned perspective. Everyone who has a show at Glitch Productions has gotten their show through connections in the industry, referred to Gooseworks, Rubber Ross, or Glitch themselves has reached out to people to make a pilot on their channel, referred to Part-Time Seagull and Dana Terrace. You either have to be extremely competent at networking, or better yet, build it from the ground up with a well thought out plan that is executed well. But most of the time, you need to do both. I want to see everyone's ideas come to life and have a place on the internet. I want to see indie animation succeed, and Glitch is doing an extremely good job with that. However, they're careful with who they do and do not greenlight. And for good reason. As a company, they need to be sure that a show that they are financially funding is going to do well. So new showrunners need to be complacent with the fact that they will have to do everything themselves, and have the support of their viewers. And if Glitch approaches them, great. But if they don't, then it's business as usual, and that's okay. At the end of the day, one of the main concepts that attracts viewers to indie animation is the struggle that the showrunners and animators have to go through to produce an impressive piece of work that, despite everything, still shows that it was made with passion and care. While everything under Glitch was made with that same passion and care, it's extremely inspiring to see it from something that was made without the help of a bigger company. So that's what I think indie showrunners should aim to achieve as their plan A. But what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber that plays Deadlock all day like a fat chud.
What's a chud?
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.